The following program may contain strong language and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, this is your boy, Walt B, and we are here with another date night. So this is what I need you all to do real quick. I need you to click that like button, and I need you to subscribe to this channel. Wherever you are watching, I need you to click that subscribe button so you can join the family so that you'll get a notification whenever we're live and producing new content. All right. Again, I'm Walt B, and this is Date Night. How you doing, Manaal?
Oh man, I am spicy tonight, for sure.
You're spicy?
Right. Yeah, I'm spicy. It has
You're
been
spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What causes you to be spicy tonight?
Because I've been handling my shit.
Okay. We like it when shit is handled. We do.
Oh man, it's good.
We absolutely do. Now, before we get started, Manaal, how can the people follow you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Facebook under Manaal Bay. You can find me on Instagram under Manaal_smiles and on YouTube under Bay Windows.
Okay, awesome. And of course, you can follow me on all social media at TheWaltBConnection. All social media. Now, before we get started on tonight, we just want to check in, make sure everyone's doing good. When you click in, go ahead and send us a thumbs up, say hi, let us know where you're watching from. Tonight, we're going to be talking about games. Do they have game, or is it a game? And how can we tell the difference between the two? One thing that is very true, Manaal, is that men and women both play games.
Oh, for sure.
One thing I like about 2022 is that there is a certain level of accountability that rests on both men and women. You know, for a long time, it was just like women always said men play games, but they didn't really acknowledge the games that women play, right? And then for a while, you know, we kind of got hit hard and heavy on the women's head, but now I feel like we're kind of balancing out and we're able just to call a thing clear across the board. You know, you and I, we've had this conversation before where it's like sometimes people are saying the right thing, but their actions are contrary to what's coming out of their mouth. So just real quick, in general, what would be some telltale signs if you could tell someone is playing a game versus them having game?
Oh my gosh. So like the clear signs are how many phones does this person have? Especially if they're not an entrepreneur. I don't believe that you have a work phone and a personal phone if you don't have a business. I don't understand.
Okay.
You in the business of them butts. That's different. So how many phones? Yeah, in the business of the butts.
How many social media profiles do you have?
Yeah.
And you're not doing, you really don't do anything noteworthy, right?
Yes. Can't remember my name.
Can I remember your? Okay. All right.
Have you committed that to memory? I mean, because after about date 2, date 3, you should definitely know my name. You should be able to call it in 5 seconds.
So you way nicer than me. If you don't know my name by date one, I don't know what we're doing here. Like, we should have already established who I am. Or I'm not paying. I mean, something is you got too much on your mind if you can't remember my name by date one. It's just a little too much.
You got
too many. Too many
Mm-hmm.
on your mind.
Because you calling everybody baby girl.
Right. Absolutely. And so those are things that definitely would be telltale signs or like red flags, in my opinion. But what about like vague answers? So you're having a conversation with your potential boo because you guys are dating. And for the sake of this conversation, let's just say that there has been some level of commitment made. Okay. Mm-hmm. You all, whatever your commitment is, you guys have made some type of commitment. Just for the sake of this conversation, let's just say you guys have made some type of commitment and you can't get like definitive answers from them. You know, what are we doing? Where are we going? Well, we'll see. Let's just, let's not label anything. Let's keep our minds open. I oftentimes tell this, somebody's playing a game with you when they talk you out of your intuition. Your intuition is telling you something, right? Your intuition is telling you this is some bullshit, this is some BS, but they talk you out of it and they talk you back off the ledge. You're like, no, I'm going to end it tonight. That's it. That was the last straw. And then they talk you out of it. And they kind of lull you back to sleep. And then you're back to tolerating the same thing that you were committed to ending it over. Anytime somebody is talking you out of your intuition, I think that is a red flag. And you should definitely, if you don't end it right then, you should certainly have a conversation regarding what's going on.
That's a good one. I think also too, like when someone is interested in you, they don't have a problem with giving you their story. Now, I'm all over, healing trauma and, certain things you're not ready to talk about. And, I understand all that. But you can't even tell me where your mama live.
Okay, yeah.
You can't tell me where you grew up. You can't tell me the school you went to. I don't know anything about your friends.
Right.
I can't even hear a piece of your story. You're not serious about me.
Right. Just sometimes when they're like super vague, that's the thing. And then when they're really secretive about certain things. And then sometimes people get into patterns. They start to show you patterns. And again, a lot of times they explain these patterns away by getting you to ignoring your intuition. Okay. What is a pattern? An unhealthy pattern to let you know somebody is playing games. I want you to know that people will do what they want to do. Give me a second here. So like, Manaal, if you and I have an appointment to meet every Monday at 6 p.m. and this is what we do, and I'm constantly showing up at 6:30, I'm constantly showing up at 6:45. I'm no showing and I got like 12 different excuses as to why I can't be there. Or I could tell when you get upset about it and I go and lay it down real good in the bedroom. Just only then though. Normally it's just a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. But when I could tell you getting frustrated, then I go in and I
30 minutes.
Right.
I look a little bit longer than what I usually do.
Right. But when I can tell you get mad, I go ahead on and give you a good, normally I give you a good 5 minutes. But when I can tell you upset, I go ahead on and give you 10 nice, blissful minutes of love making. Like,
you don't love me.
The best 10 minutes of your life. I go all night long for 10 minutes. Right? So I do that. Sometimes you have to step back and really just look at the pattern. Is this person really into you? is this person like really, are you really a priority in this person's life, or is you, Lord, or are you an option?
Yeah, you still from that hood. So like one of the things that I think is important to pay attention to is the level of intimacy that person has with you.
Okay.
If we have sex and there's no cuddle time, your heart's not open to me. Okay. Right? Only your body parts. So like that level of intimacy is really important. Also, are you only talking to me when the sun goes down? I'm paying attention to this. Or if I hit you up after 10 o'clock, you don't answer. It's probably because you married and you playing games. But, things like that. Or if you're always in the same space with me and you're on the phone or you're engaged in other things instead of with me. The only time you're engaged with me is if we're having sex, right?
Oh.
Or the other big thing is every time they're with you, their phone is always face down.
See, this is why women need gay men as friends and gay men need women as friends. Because that last one, I never would have thought of that. I just would have been like, your phone is always down. I don't give a fuck. But you don't really just. So now I'm gonna be around people like, why your phone down? Turn it up.
You.
Turn down for what?
Hey.
Turn it up. No. No. So this is so good. A lot of times, because especially when it comes to dating and things are kind of getting serious, it's always a difficult part, because sometimes you think a person loves you, but they actually just love what you do for them, or they love how you make them feel. Now, I'm not one to say celibacy makes a person a better person. Celibacy does not make you a better person. But I do say that sometimes you need to put a pause on the physicality so that you're thinking clearly when you are engaging this person, and you can see things for what they are, because some good sleep, some good intercourse, some good loving will definitely cause you to pass on some things that you definitely would not have passed on in relationships past, if they're really, really putting it down. And again, it doesn't have to be consistently, because again, a person who is an expert at playing chess can always clock someone who's playing checkers.
Definitely.
Right? They can always clock you, so they know, okay, he's about to get fed up. Oh, she's about to be fed up. Let me go in here and knock her down real quick. Let me go in here and knock him down real quick. And then I'm going to go ahead, then I'll return back to my games in about a week or two.
Or I know they get their food stamps on the 7th, so I'm going to be real good on the 5th. Okay.
Oh! I love you for this. So let me go ahead and tell on myself, right? So when I was like 18, 19, I was involved with a gentleman. And this gentleman would get so I got paid every 2 weeks. So I didn't realize that he was clocking when I got paid, because, I'm all green. I'm from the church. I love Jesus, just like I do now. I'm saved.
You believe in offering.
Right. When I give it up, I don't give it all up, because I got to give some to Jesus. But so let me tell him myself. So he was clocking when I got paid. I didn't realize I would get a call from him every 2 weeks. And then when I would show signs that I was getting frustrated, then I would get like an extra call. Once I clocked it, though, I was like, oh no, this so-and-so got me all kind of twisted in 3 different languages. Like, you got me fucked up in 3 different languages. But so what you're saying there is that is a typical game that people, especially people from urban areas, is that a more euphemistic way of saying that? Am I politically correct?
That's appropriate. For certain income statuses.
Right. They definitely use that as a tactic to get by.
Yes.
They absolutely use this as a tactic to get by. They will constantly, again, come around on payday, just as you mentioned. I never got food stamps, but they would definitely try to get them some money.
Oh no, those food stamps are of value in certain places.
Are of value.
They are of value.
They definitely got them some money. Everybody plays the fool. I played the fool more than once. So I bumped my head. So Uncle Walter bumped his head, so you ain't got to bump yours. And I'm going to tell all my business. But what happened was, Manaal, I started looking at patterns. And I think sometimes when we're dating, we have to just start looking and believing people's patterns. So like you said, around the 5th, if you start expecting them to do certain things and you start looking for things and actually clocking it, then you're going to start seeing yourself. You're going to start seeing yourself being able to, once you start clocking it, you'll start being able to take steps towards your freedom. You'll be able to start taking steps towards a healthier space, so to speak. Again, I think a lot of this also happens, Manaal, because when we have conversations about things, we allow a person to end the conversation before we have a complete peace about what has taken place.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Right. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
So in your words, Manaal, what does it look like to have a complete, whole conversation?
So the reality is when you are getting to know someone, when you are building with an individual, no matter what stage of the relationship you're in, whether you're just now meeting that individual, y'all been dating for a few months, y'all been dating for some years, y'all are engaged, married, whatever stage of the relationship that you're in, things are going to always come up. But how you deal with them is what matters. And so just getting really good at leaving the door open for certain conversations to continue on. And so like I like to, because, in the professional world, we say we're going to table it. We're going to put a pin in it, and so I do that in my conversations with my partners. Okay, I understand you don't want to continue to talk about this tonight. Right. But this is settled. We don't have any solution. We don't really know how to move forward. So we're going to have to come back and revisit this. We can be done with it tonight.
Right. So
whatever we need to do after this moment, so we can come back together. But we're going to revisit this conversation because we're not done.
So here's my thing, though. So sometimes when we table a thing or when we put a pin in it, I kind of move on emotionally. And I'm able to see, you see that look you just gave me? I'm able to move on emotionally. I'm able to function in the now and in the tomorrow. But whereas sometimes when we wake up the following day, our sisters, our women, the person we're dating, they're not able to move on to the next space in the relationship. They're still stuck with the attitude of, I want to settle what happened yesterday. So are you saying that we can't move to another space until we have completely resolved this issue that is lingering back here?
No, I'm saying, and thank you for giving that picture, because the reality is a lot of people are not able to emotionally move past a situation.
Right.
So let's just, for example, let's say I've asked my partner to wash the dishes. All right. My partner is continuously not washing the dishes. It's falling on me. I'm coming in after work, 11 p.m., having to clean up the kitchen after they cook every dish in the kitchen. I don't know who taught them how to cook, but it happened. So they every dish in the kitchen. And so I'm having to clean up after them. This is a continual problem. Right. So I've already addressed it. I've left dishes before. We've already had all these conversations. So we're going to have the conversation, but we're also going to, one, be realistic about what is actually possible.
Okay.
Right? So are we going to are we going to have a solution in this one moment? No. Do I want to be mad and hate you all night? Do I want to go to sleep with all that on my head and wake up with it on my head? I do not. So I'm going to emotionally move past this thing that's happening. I'm not going to hold on to those emotions, those feelings. I'm not going to bed hating you because of dishes. Because if you get to that point, y'all probably need to think about separation. But I'm not going to go to bed hating you. But we are going to address this matter at a different time. Because I'm going to go to bed cuddling you, hugging you, kissing you. You might have to do a little bit extra that night because I had to come and do these dishes. I'm gonna need you to do a little bit of extra for me. Is another thing?
Okay. Okay, well, hold that thought right there, because we're gonna pick that up right there. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and pick up about moving on emotionally. Now, this is somebody who's not playing a game with you, okay? Moving on emotionally. And then we're going to just talk about how maybe this could parallel someone who is playing a game. But before we move on, we're going to go ahead with the commercial break. Go ahead and take it, Kwame. All right. So we've been having the conversation about, is it a game or do they have game? Are they serious or are they playing with us? And so I just want to, kind of rehash what we talked about. We were talking about how sometimes someone isn't playing a game, but they're not necessarily attentive as they should be. And you were telling us what it looks like to move on emotionally, but we still have stuff we have to revisit. And we're saying this because a lot of times we move on before we've had a complete conversation. But there's even though we're in a new place emotionally, we still need to resolve an old issue. And you never want to move on, or you never want to leave these things unresolved, because they will come back and haunt you later. Manaal was telling us that before we get it in, we may have to do a little extra work, because one of the things that we were faltering on is when she got off work, she had to come home and wash the dishes and clean the house, because we were not honoring the agreement that we made as a couple. Okay. And she was saying for this night, to set the mood, we may need to do a little extra. Go ahead and pick up right there, Manaal.
Yeah, so you may not usually give me certain favors, but tonight I'm gonna need you to hook me up, because I got our living situation together. So moving on emotionally is a choice. Now,
got it. Okay.
say that understanding that a lot of people haven't developed that skill or that ability, right? It's
right.
learning how to regulate. It's learning how to recognize and read the moment. It's learning how to choose your relationship over your, and I say this, choosing your relationship over your feelings, right?
Okay.
It's not ignoring your wants and your desires, but I'm not going to allow my feelings to interfere with our ability to continue to work as a unit.
Dope.
Right. Dope. And so being able to say, you know what, this thing is bothering me, this thing is not changing, and we need to find solution. And at this point, we need to be working towards solution. But I'm going to go to sleep loving you. I'm going to go to sleep being okay with you, not this thing, right? It's removing, in the behavior world, it's removing the behavior from the person. I'm not going to be mad and angry and frustrated with you over this behavior.
But we do need to address it.
But when we need to address it, you know, it is time. So maybe even again, communication goes a long way. Hey, you know what? I'm upset. I had to come in. I had to do those dishes again. But I'm going to go get in the shower real quick. So I'm going to go in my transformation chamber and I'm going to get me together because I'm not getting ready to bring that energy into this bedroom. I'm going to need you to be ready to handle your part of this business right now tonight because I'm going to need you to be ready because I'm coming out fresh and clean. I'm going to need you to handle some things. And then in the morning, we need to talk about some solution for these dishes. And you set a boundary.
Okay.
And you set time.
Okay. Now, see, I like that. Because it's not, a lot of times I would feel like I was going ignored because, you know, mate wanted to move on, you know, ex wanted to move on, but I wanted a full-fledged conversation with a plan of action so that this doesn't happen again. And, you know, I've been told everything from you're too sensitive or quit acting like a bee. You know how they say you acting like a bee. Okay, all right, that's nice. But so that we don't end up here again, we need to have this whole conversation. And to me, the conversation ends when there is a resolve. Like, this is how we're going to handle this if this comes up again.
Yeah, but you may not be able to reach that resolve in that moment. There's so many layers. There's so many layers to a person, let alone two people coming together or another thing. Multiple people coming together. It's so many layers. Yeah, you coming together. Holding hands. So like it. I mean, because and I'll just give you an example. Just do the dishes. It's like. Maybe this person doesn't do the dishes because they grew up in foster care and they never had to assume that responsibility. And now it's a struggle to balance and juggle all of the responsibilities of life. And and now they're with you and you had to be responsible, right? And so you're better at balancing and juggling things. So you're literally giving room to that person to develop things that they never had an opportunity to develop.
And I'm going to tell you why this is so dope that you and I are having this conversation and you brought up doing dishes, because traditionally it would be a guy on the screen talking about, I came home and you ain't washed the dishes. But in a relationship that I was in the past, you know, it was my responsibility to take care of the home. Okay. Now, that led to other conversations because how I clean may be different than your clean. My idea of this is clean may be different than your idea of this is clean. But it was my responsibility, nevertheless, to take care of the home responsibilities. And when I would be talking to my guy friends, they would always be like, "Hey, don't talk about that. You sound like a bee. You know, you sound like." And for those of you, I try to be respectful to women and not throw that word around, the bitch word. But you sound like a B word. You sound like this. You sound like that. Because I accepted the responsibility that, okay, since this is what we're doing and this is how things are, I'm going to honor our relationship by contributing to the house in this manner. So it was me doing the laundry. It was me cleaning. It was me. I hate dusting. I hate dusting. With a passion do I hate dusting. But if that is how we agreed that I was going to honor our situation, then it's my responsibility to make sure the dusting happens. And then when you're not holding up your end of our situation, then I feel, or if I'm not, I feel like we need to have a conversation. And I hate people, even though I do grant them, I hate people that say, I don't want to talk about this right now. Okay, well then you let me know when we can talk about it.
I don't want to. I don't leave it open for them to decide when they want to talk about it.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Again, I look at it like people are in the process of development. And when you're actively in relationship, unfortunately, you're going to need to speed up your development. You can't always just sit in your space of comfort because we have things to do. We have places to get to. We have goals to achieve. So I'm going to acknowledge your need to wait, but I'm going to set the boundary as to when we're going to revisit this conversation. So it may come in the form of what you need 24 hours or do you need 72? Either way, we're going to revisit this real soon. I'm not going to leave it open for you because we have things we need to accomplish. And I'm going to push you to be uncomfortable to get you to grow past whatever hang-ups you got going on.
Whatever BS you got going on.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
So, because see, this opens a whole nother can of worms, but I'm going to stick with our topic. Is it a game or do they have game? So this is someone who is committed to making this work. So, and you can tell someone is committed to making it work because they are going to have the conversation. I think so. If you're willing to have the conversation, I think you are willing to make it work. Versus someone who is going to play games. Now, maybe it's because of who I grew up around, but the men I grew up around and the women, they use sex as a tool to get out of everything. So if you were coming at me about these dishes, I'm going to take you in that room and I'm going to lay you down so good till you're going to get up. We're going to be like baby boy. By the time we're done. I'm going to lay you down so good, you're going to get up and wash them dishes. You know, at least that's what the old heads were trying to act like. Dick was the answer to everything. Like if you... But I found out that a lot of times that leaves the door open for unresolved issues. Because yes, I did wash the dishes, but there's still there's still say, come on, baby boy. There's still an unresolved issue here because I don't feel like I've been heard. And I don't feel like my voice was respected. And even though I am a guy, I still feel like my voice needs to be heard and respected. And I don't think I should have to get home and be overly aggressive and act behind in order for my voice to be heard and respected. What are your thoughts and opinions on that, Manaal?
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. And even more so than sex, sometimes, people are using money, right?
Absolutely.
Really. And it's a form of manipulation, right? If I can't manipulate you out of holding me accountable, however I can do that. So I may have sex with you, I may buy you things, I may give you money, I may give you a night out with the girls or whatever it is that is going to motivate you to not hold me accountable, right? So it can come in many different forms,
right?
But at the end of the day, if someone is not willing to be held accountable, then they're not ready to be in a relationship. And I don't care what's coming out their mouth.
Absolutely.
Because relationship is about accountability. And if you're not accountable to yourself, you can't be accountable to me. If you're not even trying to be accountable to me, then we're not going to work.
Period. I love that. Sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself. And it's not always about the other person. Sometimes you got to be honest with yourself and say, I'm not ready to be in a relationship right now. So, you and I, we've been doing this for a while. And there was a long time where I said I was not open to be in a relationship. Do you remember that long period of time? I was like, I'm not doing love. I'm not doing this. I'm not open for this, that, and the fifth, because I knew I wasn't ready. And I'm not saying I'm just a pattern, the end all be all, but I think it takes a certain level of maturity to say that you're not ready, but then also not to be out here playing in people's face.
Yes.
So I wasn't saying I'm not ready, but then going out here giving people the impression that I was ready. Or that if they acted right, I might get ready. Because me being ready has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with where I'm at, where I'm going to allow to grow and mature in my whole little situation, right? Right.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. Now, having the conversation until you feel a certain level of peace, I think is important. And I think that's when you're going to find out if the person has game or if they're playing a game.
Yes.
Okay? Because sometimes you're not at a place of peace yet, but I feel like we done had the conversation, damn it, and I'm not saying nothing else about it, right? But if I'm really here and committed to this, I'm going to take the necessary steps to make sure that, all right, you have some level of peace, right?
Absolutely.
Again, because I want you to feel like your voice is being honored and respected in our situation. No? Am I correct?
No, you're absolutely correct. Because at the end of the day, if I am, and I'll say it this way,
Mm-hmm.
my partner and I, there are some challenges, and I have to, being able to say that this is my stuff and that's your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever issues come up, like, this isn't happening. But if it does, I have a problem with people when, because we don't do this one, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem when we go out and people approach you wanting to get your number.
Okay.
Well, I can't get upset if people approach me, and I'm not going to allow your emotions to dictate how I move. You're going to have to deal with that. So if you want to continue to rehearse that conversation, that's not a conversation that I'm going to continue to be in. We're not going to continue to revisit that. We're not. Because I am not going to change the way I dress. I dress how I dress. I attracted you with how I dress. And this is me. So I'm going to dress how I dress. I'm not changing it up because now we're together. I'm not doing that. Also, I'm not going to dim my light. I'm not going to become this whole other person because now I'm in a relationship with you. I am who I am. So people are going to be attracted. Our relationship does not cut off my attractiveness to other people. So if you're going to be with me, you need to recognize that I'm an attractive person.
Absolutely.
So you're going to have to deal with the fact that people are going to approach me. I'm not going to alter my being. And we're not going to go out every Friday night and come home and get into an argument because you're mad because somebody tried to get my number.
Right.
We're not going to do that conversation over and over again. But things like, going back to the dishes example, we're going to have to keep talking until we come to a resolve. And if you're not interested in coming to a resolution, then you're not willing to be in a relationship. Because we have to come to resolution. Are we getting a maid coming up in here? You paying for that? The paycheck?
Right. You know they'll do it for about good $40, $50.
How are we going to do this? Do you need to get off work earlier in the day so that way you can have time to rest and then take care of responsibilities? So you got to dial down your work hours. I need to up mine so you can take care. Like, what do we need to do?
Right.
Solution, because we're going to do this together, but we got to do it together.
That's the kind of energy I'm on. That's like my whole being. What can we do to resolve this so we don't end up back here? And I think, going back to your example about going out to the club, I think a person that gets upset at you or gets upset at their mate because their mate is attracting people or people are attracted to their mate, I think that's a sure sign of immaturity. Okay.
Oh, sure.
You definitely have some growing that you have to do. I'm gonna tell you about an immature Walter. I was in a relationship when I was about 22. And the person I was in the relationship with was beautiful, like absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And everywhere we went, somebody was trying to holler at this individual. Okay. And it was a little much for me. Girl, I was sneaking up to grocery stores. They would be at the grocery store, and I would be like, oh, no, it don't take this long to go grocery shopping. So I'm sneaking up to the grocery store to see if they around there. And so then finally an older gentleman sat me down and said, now look, you're going to have to get this together if you're going to be in a relationship with this person. You thought they were attractive, right? Yes. And so isn't it, a common sense will say someone else is going to think they're attractive too, right? He said, yeah. And so his words to me were simple: deal with it. Like,
yeah,
you get upset when they start responding in a disrespectful way, but other than that, it's nothing you can do about the fact that you're with an attractive person. And this is why I think some people, they need to chill on dating until they, can, some insecurities or whatever. It hurts to be cheated on. It does hurt you and damage you when you're cheated on. But you're going to have to resolve that if you're going to move into a new space with a person, because everybody's not going to cheat on you.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I'm just going back to the dishes and coming back to that conversation. The person who is taking you seriously and is not running game on you is going to want to find resolution with you.
Period.
Because it's about the long-term peace, right?
Absolutely.
It's about the long-term building of your overall relationship and you all's goals as a team, right? So the person who's serious about you is going to want to find resolve. So they're going to have the conversation with you as often as you need to have it until there is comfortability on both sides. The person who's playing games with you, they just want you to shut up and do the thing they need you to do.
Right.
So they're not going to entertain you, or they're going to allow you to get it all out, agree with you, and then never be held accountable for anything that was put out there.
Period.
Because after they hear you out and they agree with you, then you do the thing that they've been wanting you to do anyway.
Period. So I like that you're pointing this out, because this is definitely a tactic that people use a lot when they're playing games. I'm just going to agree with you and find some way to get you to betray what you really wanted done in the first place. Again, because my goal is not resolution. My goal is so that my agenda, my whatever is fulfilled. Now, before we conclude today's show, we have the question of the night. The question of the night. That's our music for the question of the night. Was that ugly? Question of the night.
Impromptu.
Could you date someone who has settled on being a janitor? Like, they do not want a promotion. I do not want to be a janitor too. I do not want to be a janitor, the nighttime supervisor of all the janitors. I am okay with this $19 an hour position as a janitor. My calling and purpose in life is to janitize. Everywhere I go, I have been called and anointed by God, the ancestors, the Buddha, whoever you serve. I've been anointed by them to janitize this whole world. Everywhere I go, I tell them I am the janitor man. What? Could you date someone who has made that resolution in their heart? Think about it for a moment. Now, I want us to understand this question is birthed because for a few years, I was a waiter. And I'm not talking about a few years, 20 years ago. I'm 39. When I was 37, I was a waiter. And every time someone, if you followed me for a while, I was homeless for about 2 years. And a part of me getting back on my feet was becoming a waiter. Okay. Now, everywhere I went, people that knew me was like, how are you a waiter? What brought this on? I had people low key like telling me I ought to be ashamed of myself and I ought to be embarrassed. And for a minute, it set in. I was like, now, I need my ass whooped. I'm sitting up here almost 40. And and I'm not even a lead waiter. Like, because let me tell you something. When I was 20, I would have been able to keep up with these little people running around here snatching plates off tables and stuff. But at almost 40, I was like, can y'all slow down just a little bit? But people would constantly try to job shame me. They would constantly try to job shame me. And then I started looking at things for what they were. Like, I'm a waiter, but I make more money than you. I'm a waiter, but I have job stability. Like, I know I go to work every Monday. Like, okay. So this kind of birthed that question. Could you be okay with someone who has settled on being a janitor?
Okay, so I'm going to go with the wording of this question because it's very important.
Okay.
So settled, meaning they're not trying to do any other occupation or have any other occupation for the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
my
settled,
401k.
like they gave up on dreams, right? I'm done with everything else. I'm not pursuing nothing else. I'm not doing any challenges.
But the janitization
right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not something that works for me. And it's not because of occupation, it's because of the mentality of the person.
Got it.
Who has the occupation. Because me being a dreamer, me being a person who likes to reach for the stars, me being a person who lives with purpose, it would be really difficult for me to be free in who I am, and then have to come home to someone who is expecting that level of, what's a good word? I think to me that person is a person who doesn't like to be creative and spontaneous, and who doesn't want challenges in life. They want the easy route to everything. Also, there probably is a bit of fear in there, whether it's rejection or they just don't want to. They don't want to fail. So, like, trying to have a relationship with that kind of person, yeah, that's not gonna work for me.
It wouldn't work for you. So so let's just say they settled on being a janitor, but like they offered master classes on how to be the best janitor that you could be, and they would do like motivational speaking events where they would talk to janitors from coast to coast and encourage them on not to be discouraged, be not weary in your janitization, because in due season, these rooms shall be clean. Those toilets shall be spotless. The floor you walk on today shall not always be spotted, but it shall be clean because of the work that we put in. Right? Let's just say they're going from coast to coast and they're like really, really making this happen. Does that change it at all?
That does change it. It changes it. It changes it exponentially, because again, it's not about the work itself. There's purpose in the work, right? There's benefit to the work. Hello, that thing that we can't talk about just happened, and we needed to really focus in on being healthy and exercising and monitoring space better. So we need people. There's a passion that needs to be there for that kind of work, but again, it's about that person reaching for something beyond just showing up to work, putting a mop in a bucket, and putting it on the floor. Like, what kind of purpose are you dealing with? And again, if I am dating a person who isn't reaching for something, they're not going to understand my reach for things.
So you'll have a communication gap.
So we will have that communication gap. And then if we have that communication gap, then there's a lack of understanding. There would be lack of support. And then when I'm all around the world and pursuing my passions, they're going to want me at home.
Okay.
Because they go to work and come back. Go to work and come back. Go to work and come back. No, see. We're not doing with that.
And you trying to be around the world and
Yes, she has things to do.
She has
I'm gonna need
things
you to have
do.
things to do.
Period. I'm definitely down for that. So for me, I am okay with I would be okay with dating someone as long, like you said, as long as there's some type of plan in the works. Okay. I gotta see that there's a plan for growth. For example, even when I was a waiter, let me put my own self out there. I took the money that I made when I was waiting and I funded my dream. I funded the WaltBConnection. I have a few songs on Spotify and Amazon, and go ahead and feel free to stream those. Shameless plug. Ain't a bit of shame in it. But I took that money and I funded that along with me getting on my feet. So and then ultimately I put myself in a better position so that now I'm no longer waiting tables. Okay. And I feel like when someone has settled, now I'm not talking about someone who's 65 and getting ready to
Right.
retire in 5 years, but I feel like, right, if you 30s, 40s, and the keyword there is settled, I think there's an issue there, a deeper issue there. And I don't know if that would be okay with me either. So it would be a no for me, a hard no. If you're watching this on a replay, go ahead and let us know if you could or if you could not date someone who settled on being a janitor. Could you settle dating someone? And to me, it's not about status. It's not about status. It's about drive. Because I think we need to go back to the days where we don't shame somebody because they are a bus driver, or we don't shame somebody. Hell, if you work at McDonald's, there's nothing wrong with making honest money. And I'm going, because I had to check this last job I worked for. Okay? Because McDonald's makes $17 an hour, right? And I told them, you should not be paying me to where I'm tempted to go flip a burger and deal with less stress. It should definitely be a gap with all the stuff we're dealing with. There should definitely be a gap. I should not be like, you know what, I'm gonna take this pay cut. I'm gonna take this little pay cut going flip these burgers. Like I should not be having those thoughts. It shouldn't be that close.
Having that conversation with yourself.
Right. I should not be sitting in my car like, you know what, damn miss, I'm just gonna go work at Wendy's and sell biggie bags. Like
in your office while emails are coming across your desk.
Right. Right.
I can say, do you want fries with that? I can absolutely say
that. With a smile on my face. Don't play.
Mm-hmm. And you catch me on the right day, I may be able to say it in Spanish. I'm just saying. I think I can put bilingual on there and get an additional 5 cents.
Don't play. Do not play with me at all. It's not about the status. It's more so about the drive. Definitely. Yeah. So in all, now I want to say this. Your relationship is your relationship. And I'll say this at the end of pretty much damn near every show. Your relationship is your relationship, and there's nobody in that relationship but you and your partner. These are just tips that we want to share with you, maybe give you a way to look at things from a different perspective. If you're a guy, maybe it will help you understand your mate. And if you're a woman, maybe I gotta quit saying that, because I'm so anti.
Like I was holding my breath over here. I was like, what?
I gotta stop saying that because I'm so against gender norms, but it just slips out, when you learn something for so long. Right? But if you're in a relationship, maybe it will help you to see things from your mate's perspective. Whether you are a masculine, someone who operates in masculine energy, maybe it's going to help you understand someone that you're with who may be operating in feminine energy. And so these are just conversations that we're trying to have to help keep, and I'm going to say this, we want to help keep our Black relationships together.
Yes.
And that's clear across the spectrum, gay, straight, bi, whatever. We want y'all to stay together. Let's stay together. All right, Manaal, we've had such an amazing time on tonight. Once again, can you tell the people where can they find you on social media?
Come on, y'all. Find me on Facebook under Manaal Bay, on Instagram under Manaal_smiles, and YouTube under Bay Windows.
Bay Windows. And then, are there any final thoughts that you maybe have for someone? Let's say we talked tonight and they realize that their mate is playing games. Can you maybe real briefly tell us maybe some advice that you would give them?
Oh, man. So first and foremost, assess yourself. I'm always going to send you to you first. What is it that you want? What is it that you're looking for? And also, what kinds of doors are you leaving open for other people to walk through? Because at the end of the day, somebody is playing you because you brought that energy into your life. And so if you are absolutely ready to elevate, then you would know. And it won't be hard to walk away from that person who's playing you. Check yourself first.
Absolutely. My advice would, by the way, you can find me on all social media, TheWaltBConnection. My advice would be, don't fuck around and end up homeless. So you definitely want to be strategical. Like don't go home and end it right now and then you lose a place to stay. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. But number 2, develop watch your food stamps. Change your PIN on your EBT card.
Hey, you better say something.
No, but if you find yourself in a situation where someone is playing games, be strategical, not calculate. Don't be evil and plot revenge, but you definitely need to start planning your exodus from this situation. And remember, there's always a smart way to do something. So definitely be smart. Now, we want you to be healthy. If it's a dangerous and volatile situation, get out of Dodge. But if it's, something where it can be amicable, go ahead and start planning your exodus for your own mental health. Now, we want you, once again, check out the other shows on Pyro Media. I know tonight at 7:30, tonight at 8, my boy Dante will be live on here. So we want you all to come back and check out Dante. And just overall support all of the shows on the Pyro Media Network. Those of you that follow me, WaltBConnection, we will be live a few more times this week. I'll be giving you a good rundown. And then we're going to be talking about your discernment, how to develop your discernment. You definitely want to tune in for that. All right. Well, with that being said, we just want to say bye. I don't know how. I gotta come up with an ending. I always have this issue.
Farewell. Okay, we can't do that.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Have an amazing rest of your evening.